Summer of Love, and I actually in high school when the Vietnam War started, I didn't know anything about the tracking system, right? And I thought, for crying out loud, I can do all this shit. I'm Hiawatha, I'm brilliant. Well, I didn't realize that I couldn't go via the tracking system. I was slated, someone from my socio-eco, my position. I was supposed to be in the military service, institutionalized, or in the military, and I couldn't believe it. That was when I was in the 10th grade, and I went, well, why didn't anybody tell me this shit, in the first place? So then I changed the 10th grade, I went back and I changed my fucking schedule and the classes that I took, and all of a sudden they flipped, and you could take home ec. So in our home ec class, this one friend of mine, his parents signed him out to go off to the war because he was the only son and shit, and his mom needed the money and stuff. Well, by the time we were in the 11th grade, he came back home in a box. The Vietnam War was like in full swing at that point. And Mrs. Emerson, our home ec teacher, shut down the home ec class and said, I'm going to teach all of you guys how to avoid the draft. If you want to avoid the draft, never register. Don't sign up for your social. What is that shit when your social security card and all that stuff. And if you do, change one digit. And if you change one digit, they won't be able to find you. Selective Service won't be able to find you, which is what I did, and that lasted until my dad found out that I gave my brother Carl's social security number, and he told me this one day. If your son, you're about to be, pretty soon, my oldest son, you're gonna be 17, boy. Pretty soon you're gonna get a telegram from Uncle Sam. And I asked my mom if we had an uncle named Sam that I had never met. And she went, "What are you talking about?" Well, that was how I became aware of the selective service system, the draft, that whole addenda. And after my friend came back in that box, I did what my home ec teacher advised me, and I avoided the draft for a long time until I got busted for breaking the law, and I was deemed too immoral to go kill in Vietnam, and that began this long pursuit of alternative existence. I just knew I could never go back again. Never could go back again. Lo and behold, the Detroit News or the Free Press, whatever it was, the pictorial section had this big picture of John Sinclair in this Love Inn at Belle Isle, right? I tried to go to the Love Inn at Belle Isle, and I was just crossing the Belle Isle Bridge just in time to be chased back with these fucking Detroit cops on fucking horses swinging nightsticks and shit. This is a fine howdy-do. That's when I got in my car and just started driving around. Wound up in Ann Arbor, where I heard the sound of the MC5 playing at West Park. They used to go over and plug in a generator in the picnic pavilion, whatever that overhang thing was, and just kick out the jams. It would be the Up. I don't know if the Stooges ever played there. I'm quite sure they did eventually in the band show, but it was like the Up and the MC5, playing off a generator. Slowly but surely, the cops would come out, all of the old gentry of that part of Ann Arbor, which was old black Ann Arbor at that time, came out and they were like, you can be making all of this noise, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, the White Panther Party got chased out of Detroit after the Detroit riots, came to Ann Arbor, started Trans-Love Energies, wound up scaring all of we little hippies, back underground and shit. I'm skipping like a stone, aren't I? There were these posters being circulated all over town that had these posters that said Panther White is running. Mass meeting at the Canterbury House. The Canterbury House was a place that draft dodgers used to, hippies, it was like an old coffee house and shit. And I thought for sure the Ku Klux Klan had changed their whole posture, and this was like this attempt to trick hippies, And I thought for sure they were going to kill us. All the little stoners around me, I was never really a hippie. They're like, "Hi, what do you think of this?" I said, White Panthers, they're trying to trick you guys into showing up at this mass meeting, and there's probably a bunch of Ku Klux Klan members who want to kill you hippies. And they say White Panthers because they're trying to trick Black Panthers, and it's my dad trying to find me. I swear to God, that's what I thought was going on. But no, it was Trans-Love Energies after the riots, and they got chased out of Detroit, moving to Ann Arbor, and they were trying to unite the predominantly white community in Ann Arbor, college students, went to the Peace and Freedom Conference. Members of the White Panther Party went to the Peace and Freedom Conference in Berkeley, at which point the Black Panthers told them, like, go away, we're having enough problems on our own, being stupid enough to walk around toting weapons in public. Go back to your own towns, get some politics, read, study, study political leaders, historical political leaders, build a platform, start some programs on your own. We don't need you to support us, but what we need you to do is go back and organize mother country radicals to construct systems to deal with their own needs. To wit, the White Panther Party was formed. During the interim, John Sinclair was arrested for possession of 2 joints of marijuana via Lieutenant Warner Stringfellow and this ugly judge from the bench in Detroit and stuff, and they locked John up in an attempt to dissolve what was then this burgeoning neo-revolutionary organization, the White Panther Party. The MC5 were the speaking organ of said, and most of the message was being disseminated via concerts where the MC5 played, and members of the party would, disseminate these pamphlets, messages to the cadre on getting organized and stuff, which is basically Marxist-Leninist dialectical materialistic dictums on how to become organized and build things to deal with your own needs that were essential but that the mother country was not providing, like food, shelter, clothing. That's enough of that rant. Well, politics is music, and part of what financed the revolution in the beginning of the New World was music, and drugs, sex and drugs and rock and roll. And then after the demise of the White Panther Party, there was this edict sent out by Nixon to J. Edgar Hoover saying, do something about those people up there at 1510, 1520, and 1522 Hill Street. That was where the White Panther houses, the international headquarters, have said. And I just took it on myself to continue, spreading the word, using music as the catalyst to educate people about what they want. You got to get what you want. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And after the party broke up, and I wound up doing 7 years in Federal Correctional Institute with Michael Davis and Wayne Kramer and Timmy Schaaf, the bassist and guitarist from the MC5. I decided as soon as I get the hell out of here, I'm starting a band. And I'm going to pick it up where they left it off at and shit. Those guys wouldn't even talk to each other when we were all locked up in prison. They were still mad about that heiress to the butter, this woman that inherited all these millions from, she was a millionaire that inherited her dad's oleomargarine fucking estate or some shit. And she wound up doing everybody in the MC5, and Wayne found out about it, and he thought she was in love with and some other bullshit, and Mike did her or some bullshit, and they were still mad at each other in prison about that bullshit. I was in for being a revolutionary. No bullshit. For distribution of cocaine. And Mike and Wayne were in for heroin. The first thing that happened when the MC5 got their first contract was that the advance money was used they sent the hawk out and he bought heroin. I really shouldn't be talking about that.